I'm pleased to be joined by Oklahoma State wide receiver Brennan Presley. Brennan, how you doing?
I'm doing good, RJ. How you doing?
I'm good, brother. Like, how does it feel to be an elder statesman at Oklahoma State now? You wanted the Cats.
I mean, it feels old, kind of being here for a little bit, but I mean, it also feels good to be able to offer up some of my experience and I can't say youthfulness anymore, but to offer some of my elderness to like some of the young guys who are just now getting in, just so like, they don't make the same mistakes that I do, and they can continue on the tradition.
Well, and in continuing that tradition, you had an inflection point, right? 17 dudes left in the transfer portal, and you also got a quarterback derby going on right in front of us with Garrett Rangel and Alan Bowman. How have you tried to be a calming force inside of that locker room for the guys that are unfamiliar with this kind of upheaval?
I think that's something that's like, it's not necessarily one person's job, because like you said, when you have so many people coming in, and you have, the people that came back, I think it's kind of like a collective job for us to just, offer up, what the school means to us and like, what the culture is like, so those new guys can understand it, but also that like, those guys coming in, they have been extremely great with, understanding it and just, falling in line and just, letting us, teach them. There's no like, press back against one another. Like, I want to do this, do that. Like, they've been great in letting us like teach them, and they've been helping us along the way, like realizing stuff from like other schools too. So I mean, it's really good when we can all like get on the same page and communicate. So it's not necessarily my job or any other body's job, but like everybody can come together and kind of like help one another out.
So you got to play a bit with Garrett Rangel last year, and there were times when he looked outstanding, particularly against Kansas. I think he had over 300 yards passing. And then Coach Gundy pulls Alan Bowman out of the portal, who had been at Michigan the last couple of years, won a couple Big Ten championships, saw a college football playoff team play, and had started at Texas Tech. How have you been trying to make yourself available to both of those guys so that they both get the best out of themselves, find out who your starting quarterback's going to be by week 1?
I mean, it's definitely been interesting, cause like being with Garrett from like last year, I love Garrett. I mean, that dude, he's a warrior. He wanted to work all the time. So like sometimes I gotta tell him to slow down, just cause like he wants to work so much. So it's just that thing of kind of like, I feel like I'm an older brother to him, and like with Alan now here, it's kind of the thing of like, I have played here, but he's also played in the past too. So it's like I kind of want to learn from him. He's been at Texas Tech, was the air raid, and then Michigan was the NFL pro style offense. So it's like there's a lot of things that he knows that he can teach me too. So there's a lot of things that we can all, like I said, we can all like learn from each other and piggyback on. So I want to learn from him as much. And Garrett and Alan, they're both competitors, so they're going to compete as hard as they can. But at the end of the day, they're on the same team, so they know that whoever wins the competition, it is what it is. But they're going to help each other out and just get this train rolling.
Has Coach Gundy or Coach Dunn, for that matter, given y'all any direction on how you were supposed to operate within this offense, knowing that each one of those guys is going to get as many snaps as they need to try to figure out who your best quarterback is going to be?
I mean, the direction really just comes from us, and then, because at the end of the day, we're the people on the field, so, it's kind of like, they both kind of have the same style, and, the style really at OSU is not really going to change that much in terms of just, air raiding it and just, needing to, like, run the ball and, like, ground and pound, so I don't think the style is going to change that much, so, like since Garrett and Alan both have similar like styles, that I think is really easier for like this year for us to just dial in on like one focus and like how we're gonna play as an offense, and so that makes it easier for everybody else not to have to learn like a different style or anything like that. Knowing that if we need to run the ball, bam, we can do it. If we need to throw the ball, bam, they can both do it.
Every year, Oklahoma State has one dude on the offense or one dude on the defense, and nobody saw it coming that has a big year, right? It's almost as if it's part of the entertainment value that is at Stillwater. So I'm going to give you opportunity as a known commodity to point me in the direction of the next great Oklahoma star that we need to be, Oklahoma State star that we need to be ready for.
See, I don't really want to do that, because now, like, if y'all see it coming, then I want this person
just
to make.
Just between you and me.
I'm telling you, we got 3 receivers. Leon, Striv, and AB. I'm telling you, all three of them can go off. Leon, 6'6", a giant. AB played at Iowa, and then Striv was, Washington State leading receiver last year. So I'm telling you, all of them, they have the mindset, they got the talent, they got the work ethic. So I think honestly, this is going to be a really great season. But see, I don't want to tell you that now, because then when it happens, you ain't gonna be surprised. I want the surprise. I want the surprise to be there for the season.
Hey, look, I'm going to tell everybody that Brennan told me what was going to happen, and he tried to let y'all know back in July. That's how I'm going to play.
They better recognize.
All right.
Get their popcorn ready.
So, hey.
They better start drinking some.
No, on the flip side, Coach Gundy be all over the map when he go get his dudes, but his dudes be real good. Now, the way I'm putting at this is, I didn't know who Brian Nardo was until Coach Gundy tapped him to be defense coordinator. And all of a sudden he shows up there, and I'm hearing all sorts of things about how nice the defense is. So you get to play against defense. How nice is the defense?
The defense is really nice. That's one of those things where it's like, I don't want to tell you about it because I'm telling you. I've talked to this guy. This guy is super smart. Like, he knows his football, and I wish you could just see him, because I think the best thing about Gundy, because he brings in great coaches and players, and people are like, how does he keep doing it? It's not that he brings in great players, he brings in great people. When you focus on the people first and the person aspect of it, then the talent and all that stuff, everybody got it. So when you focus on the person first, then all that stuff is going to trickle down. So I'm telling Brian Nardo, let's feel weird. Coach Nardo, he's done a great job, and he's super smart, and I can't wait to see, how he does and the defense is going to do, because I feel like he took a 4-day vacation, even though they got 2 or 3 weeks. He wants to be up there. He wants to be ready for the season. I can't wait for all the success that's coming his way.
Well, I think that enthusiasm is a great place to leave it. Oklahoma State wide receiver Brennan Presley, thank you so much for taking time to join little old RJ on the #1 college football show.
Yes, sir.
I'm pleased to be joined by Kansas coach Lance Leipold. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing well today. How are you?
I'm good, sir. I want to start this conversation by asking, how does it feel to be the man that turned Kansas into the lunch pact? So my daddy used to say, if you're going to go play against that team, you better have your lunch packed.
I appreciate that. We took a nice step last year, and, I think our program's gained some respect, but as you know, it's a week in and week out type of thing, and we've got to find a way to play a little better than we did down the stretch last year. But I'm so proud of our guys. I think we've got a great nucleus coming back with experience and a group that's determined to take another step.
You've got a fan base that is excited about the preseason for Kansas football. And the first time, I think in about 15 years here, Coach, and we're talking about a Big 12 that's gotten larger, but also a lot thicker through the middle. And y'all get to take a bunch of credit for that. So I'm asking, I understand it's a week-to-week thing. What is the big picture goal for the Kansas Jayhawks in 2023?
Well, I appreciate what you're saying, because I think, when people say top to bottom, we've become one of the best conferences, I think it's because we're starting to pull our share of the rope. And now with that, we've got to find a way to, like I said, when we go on the road last year against Oklahoma and they got real hot. Baylor, we turned the ball over a couple times and we fall down multiple scores. We got to find a way to close a gap, play better on third down, still be the diverse offense that we've been in. And also, I think we've made some adjustments in our special teams that'll give us a better chance, that allow us to maybe, steal a possession, get an extra first down in the return game, things like that. Those are going to be the small things for us, again, in what you've alluded to be even a more competitive conference now with our new additions.
You went bowling last year, and I got to say, it's like winning a national championship watching KU go bowling for the first time in 15 years. I understand for you, though, that's part of it, right? You've been on this journey before. Mm-hmm. How have you seen some of your players react to not just their success last year, but perhaps even looking at a Texas Christian going, well, hell, we ain't that far away from being able to be as good as they are, and they played in the national championship game?
Well, RJ, that's what I always appreciate about you, because you always bring it back to some things that are really relative, and I truly appreciate that, because, we lost Jalen Daniels in that TCU game, and though difficult, we played and battled back and lost a close one there and had opportunities. And then, as you said, we went to a bowl game, and you watch what the great year TCU had and making it to the national championship. We go to a bowl game and get a taste of it, and a lot to be proud of there. And we had, we're down 3 scores at half and things, and then all of a sudden we battled back and put that thing in overtime for an exciting game. That alone gives us the chance to show, hey, we're close, but we got a lot of work to do. And I think our players really embrace that heading into the spring and winter conditioning sessions.
I know that Jalen has gotten a lot of attention, and rightfully so. We were talking about him really being a Heisman finalist in late October because he was playing so well. But as that dude's the driver of your offense, I like to tell people that Devin Neal is the power unit. Having that guy in the backfield seemed to change the way that y'all could operate offensively. What other steps has he taken to ensure that he has that same level of productivity for you in 2023?
I think Devin is, from the second he stepped on campus, he's worked to perfect his craft. He's very businesslike when he goes about it. He takes pride in what he's doing, but he's working harder at being the most complete back he can be, whether it be in the pass game, pass protections, understanding the offense and the whys. I think when they understand a little bit more on how it all pieces together, it allows them to even be better players. And along with Devin and the great season that he had, we need a healthy Daniel Highshaw to complement him and his physical style of play that'll, again, add to the diversity and what we can do as an offense. And I think, what we were doing in that first 4 games of the year, 5 games before we lost both Daniel and Jalen, I think we're really clicking, and hopefully we can find a way to get that unit back to where they were right off the start.
I've been so proud to see how your offensive line has progressed from your first year to your second year to your third year. And now you add a guy in Logan Brown from Wisconsin that I assume you're going to make into or want to be the anchor of that offensive line. How important is that addition to your offensive line and really trying to push toward not just that run game, but your pass protection?
Yeah, adding Logan Brown was a big get for us, and our strength coach had a relationship with him from high school. Logan's a quality young man who works extremely hard. I like, we have 4 returning starters on the offensive line. We have a chance to really make that unit even deeper. I think last year, the first 5 plus maybe a couple, you're kind of holding your breath about staying healthy. I think we've got 3-4 guys that could equally start and then hopefully rotate some. And RJ, hopefully that gives us that, as we talk about that back half of the season, maybe we're a little fresher team. Maybe we got a little more experience when you do lose a guy for a game or so. We'll have that opportunity to keep it rolling with the depth, especially on that side of football.
Having men that big and large and move the way some of those men move, I mean, you can't have enough of those. I'm also looking at the other side of that ball, Coach, and you got 4 guys returning in that secondary, but I got to ask, is it 4 guys returning that secondary, or is it 4 guys returning that gave up 459 and 30 a game?
Well, I think, again, holistically as a defense, we got to be better. I like where our secondary is. I think Kobe Bryant was a first-team all-conference. Kenny Logan's been an all-conference player, has a lot of experience. O.J. Burroughs played a lot. Our third safety, Marvin Grant, is now more comfortable in our scheme. He started some games at Purdue before he came. Mello Dotson is the other corner who I continue to see grow in confidence and how he goes about it. All 3 linebackers come back. I think that, we've got to start up front. We've got to be able to get pressure on the quarterback and play the run a little bit better. And I'm excited to see what our new additions do there as well.
I'm really excited to see what you look like. And by you, I mean Kansas Jayhawks in 2023, because this is such a year of transition, not just for Kansas, but for the Big 12 at large. I wonder how you feel about the state of the program and the state of the conference with Oklahoma, Texas joining the SEC, but also you get 4 new additions, Central Florida, Cincinnati, BYU, and Houston.
Well, again, where we match up, I think as we've seen, we've been able to put ourselves in a very competitive environment week in and week out. We've got to be able to make that happen throughout the course of the season. We had a chance to play Houston last year, so we got a little bit idea what that program's like. Played them on the road. We had 3 quality programs, and you look at the success that they've had in each and every program, parts of country that they all come from that could open doors for all of us in recruiting, but they have nice recruiting backyards of when, where, and how they get their players. So it's going to still make it a very competitive thing. That it might be who's playing at home. It might be how you really, like it always is, probably how you match up against certain teams, and it's going to be exciting. And I think that makes we had some meetings in May in Arizona, and I think again when you talk to every coach, I think there's a lot of mutual respect about the balance from all the way through 1 through 14 for this year and 1 through 12 moving forward.
Coach Leipold, I always look forward to catching up with you. Thank you so much for taking some time here at Big 12 Media Days to talk with us here on the #1 college football show.
Thank you very much, RJ. Appreciate everything you do for college football.
I'm pleased to be joined by Kansas State head coach Chris Klieman. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
It feels as if you should be walking around as the cock of the walk, as you are the reigning Big 12 champion. Do you feel like you're being treated like the reigning Big 12 champion?
I would rather we weren't treated like that. Yeah, we had a special season last year, and we got a lot of experience coming back from that season, but we've got to put that one behind us, and we've got to move on to the next year. We've got to be able to draw back on those experiences of a great year, but in the same respect, we know this league too well. Anybody can beat anybody of the 14 teams, so we'd rather have a chip on our shoulder and play with a little bit of disrespect.
This conference is so thick through the middle. I don't think it's been this competitive since the Big 12 was first formed, and yet here you are, reigning Big 12 champ, going into the season with a quarterback who was unproven to start the season and now looks like one of the better players in this league. You've said over and over again, this is Will Howard's squad in 2023. How has he answered the bell when you've asked him to lead?
Well, he brings everybody together, and he's got belief in himself. He has the belief of the teammates, and they also, there's a lot of kids on that team that saw Will struggle, and he didn't quit. He didn't, blame people. He just put his head down and went to work. And the success that Will Howard had last year in 2022 was all earned. And our kids, especially the ones that have been here with him for 3 years, saw that. And so there's the ultimate respect for somebody because he's had it hard, and he got through that tough times and came out stronger on the other end. So I think he can share some experiences with young guys that don't give up on yourself. Don't keep grinding. You're going to have tough times, and I think the tough times that you have make you stronger. And I see that with Will Howard. Everybody in the entire building believes that Will Howard you can win a Big 12 championship with.
It's been awe-inspiring for me to see what you have done at Kansas State since being there, but none has gotten my attention more than how you can just stomp a mud hole in my Oklahoma Sooners, it seems like, anytime you want to. However, when you look at this program and you look at what Kansas State has become, why do you think you need to have the chip on your shoulder? Why do you think you need to possess this mentality of, no, that was last year, we got to earn it all over again?
Yeah, we're never going to have from the national brand, the respect probably of some of the marquee names. And I'm okay with that. I really am, because you still have to prove it in between the lines. And, I'd say you bring up a good point about the Oklahoma, and we don't play them this year, but we got beat by Tulane last year, and everybody thought Tulane was not a good football team. And they end up going and beating USC in the Cotton Bowl. And then the next week we go to Oklahoma, and I knew we had a good football team. I knew we had a really good team. And I don't think we were overlooked or anything like that. But if you don't have your A game every game, you're going to get beat. And I think Adrian Martinez played the best college football game of any quarterback I saw last year until you got to Will Howard late in the season and what Will did. But that's that's sometimes the disrespect that we get, but that's why I want those kids to play with a chip on their shoulder.
You don't have Deuce Vaughn, who you'll know is one of the better Kansas State players that we've ever seen, and certainly over the last 10 years. No disrespect to your offensive coordinator. However, you bring in a Trayshawn Ward. You know what you have in a DJ Giddens. What are you asking those guys to be? Because you're obviously not going to ask them to be Deuce Vaughn.
Well, you hit it on the head. They can't be Deuce Vaughn. They got to be DJ and Trayshawn. And Deuce Vaughn was one of the most electrifying college football players in the history of the game for a 3-year period. And so I think Colin Klein, our OC, is going to be excited because it was last year, how are we getting the ball to Deuce as much as we can? And now we have to spread the ball around a lot more. And we have really good depth in that running back room, more depth than we've ever had. And it starts with DJ and Trayshawn Ward. Those two guys are the ones that people are talking about. There might be some other guys as well. And then you look at our wide receivers and tight ends. We have one of the best tight ends in the country, fullback, tight end, slash. He does everything. He's actually a wide receiver, too, in Ben Sennett. That's 6'3.5", 255, runs really well. So I think Colin's going to have more fun designing game plans that get everybody involved.
Your game plan has also been one that I've really enjoyed. Sometimes y'all want like a fake pull power, and I'll be like, where the hell did that come from? So the things that y'all are able to do offensively, I've always, as a football nerd, very intrigued by. But you can do that because you have an offensive line that understands what they're doing. How important is it for you to have those 5 guys returning that can lead you on that offensive line?
Well, they're the heartbeat of our football team, and every place I've ever been, you have to be able to run the football. Make no mistake, you have to be able to run the football. Even in games where we threw it 30 or 35 times, and that's still not very much in today's game with people throwing it 45, 55 times, you have to be able to run the football. And those guys take great pride in that. Yeah, you got to be able to protect the passer and those things, but they take tremendous pride in being able to push people off the ball, run the football, and just keep the chains moving and keep defenses on the field. And, we have our top 8 returning, and not just those 5, but I think we have really good quality depth and some really good young players that we're going to play a lot more players, especially early on, so that, we can see what the future is too.
My last one for you, Coach, is how do you feel about the future of the sport of college football as you see it continue to take on more change in the last 5 years than I think it had in the previous 40?
Yeah. It's really strong. We're always going to have challenges. Right now, we are going through some challenges, but the game itself is really, really strong. It's never been more popular. You look at the TV deal that we signed, even though we're losing OU and Texas, we signed a better deal than when we had them. I think that the transfer portal has been good for college football. It's been good for Kansas State. We've had, Julius Brents and Cade Warner and Adrian Martinez and Josh Hayes, all guys that are on NFL rosters that came into our program. So it's always going to evolve. But I think that's what you want, is to continue to have the game evolve, but to continue to have the game as strong as it's ever been.
Kansas State head coach Chris Klieman, thank you so much, sir, for taking time to join us here on the #1 college football show.
Appreciate it.
I'm pleased to be joined by Kansas State quarterback Will Howard. Will, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm good, sir. I want to congratulate you on winning a Big 12 championship, but I would say that's nothing new for you because I was doing a little research beforehand, and you led your high school to their first district title since 1996, just a few years ago. So this winning championship thing seems to come easy to you.
Yeah, no, it was being able to win that Big 12 championship was really cool. And obviously, when I was in high school, I was like, man, this is the coolest thing I've ever done. And then being able to go out there, in AT&T Stadium and win it against TCU, the 3rd best team in the country, take away their undefeated season, man, it was so cool, and just the experience of it, and being able to be out there with my brothers doing that thing, man, and kind of coming out the other side of a lot of hard times was really cool.
Well, don't short yourself. It's the 2nd best team in the country, despite what the scoreboard said in the national championship.
Yeah.
But it underscores what I think is the strength of this conference for which you are responsible. So I want to talk a bit about you here. When you started, you played so terribly well, and it frankly did not look like the guy that I'd seen a year before. What clicked for you in 2022?
I feel like a lot of it was just my confidence. And, when I went out there as a true freshman in 2020 and 2021, my confidence was kind of in the dumps. I was kind of swimming. I was just floating out there. I didn't really understand what we were doing offensively, what was going on. I was just a young cat and made some mistakes and let that kind of affect my confidence. But when I went out there last year, man, against TCU, when I finally got my chance, I felt like I had put a lot of work in, and I felt like I was where I wanted to be. And, finally getting to go out there and see myself do it, I really, that's what it really took. Just being able to see that happen in person and doing it, I was like, man, I can really do anything. This is just football. This is what I've done my whole life. And I felt like I was finally back to myself last year. I felt like I was, I lost a little bit of love for the game when I was a young kid. I had a lot of rough times that I went through, but, being able to go through that, in the moment I wasn't, I didn't know that, what it was going to do for me in the future, but now looking back at it, I wouldn't be the player and the person I am without it. So just being able to kind of make it through all those tough times was really cool, and to kind of see that work that I put in come to fruition was awesome.
So I'm looking at you, and you're 6'5", you're 240. And I feel like I'm going to keep saying that for the rest of 2023 because I don't think people understand just how large a man you are. But your game is really similar to your offensive coordinators back when he was at Kansas State and Colin Klein. What, if anything, have you modeled your game on after him or even some other players that you really enjoyed watching growing up?
Yeah, being able to just be in a room with Coach Klein is awesome because, not only does he understand it from a coaching standpoint, he gets it from a player standpoint. He's been there. He understands what it's like to be out there when the lights are on, when, everybody's watching you. So he understands that from that standpoint. And, I mean, he was a beast back in the day. I remember watching him, when I was a young kid, and I was like, man, this guy's a tank. Nobody can take him down. And I definitely try to, run like him. I definitely want to make sure that, when I run the ball, he was taking dudes down and making DBs were afraid of him. It's pretty fun to watch his highlights sometimes, but being the mental side of it, having him in the room with me and being able to just chop it up with him and understand what he thinks, what I think. I feel like, at this point we've been together for 4 years. A lot of things we're on the same page about, so that's really cool. And just bouncing ideas off each other. We're just watching film, doing stuff like that. And our relationship has grown so much over the last 4 years. And I'm so thankful that he decided to stay this year, and he's been around for as long as he has, because he's such a huge part of Kansas State and its history and what it's going to continue to do.
You're the reigning Big 12 champ. Has it felt like people have been treating you like the reigning Big 12 champ?
Yeah, I mean, this offseason has definitely been a lot different than the previous off seasons for me personally and for us as a team. I feel like we've always kind of been overlooked and kind of been the underdog going into seasons. We won the Big 12 last year. I don't know where we were picked in the preseason poll, but I know it wasn't as high as we were this year. But I feel like that's kind of who we are, and that's kind of Kansas State. That's that hard-nosed, blue collar mindset. That we're the underdogs, and even though this year, we kind of have a target on our back, and that script is kind of flipped from, a lot of people are saying, we were the hunter and now we're the hunted, but we're trying to keep that hunter mentality. We're still coming for it all, even though that we are the reigning champs. We're still aiming for that underdog mindset.
I read that you are majoring in accounting. I gotta ask, how did you settle on accounting as a major?
It's funny. I started off in engineering, and that was even worse. Like that one, I went in and I was like, it's not my thing. I thought, I'm a math and science guy. I like numbers, so I was kind of between engineering and business coming in. But once I decided, engineering wasn't for me, I went to business, and I was kind of between finance and accounting. Obviously, I want to play football as long as I possibly can and not have to be an accountant. I don't think I want to be a CPA or anything like that, but I think it's a good degree to have. Obviously being able to take care of your finances and know how to do all that stuff. I'm a numbers nerd, man. It's weird. I like to do all that weird calculations and stuff. I feel like I'd rather do that than write a one-page paper. I'll sit there all day and do the numbers rather than I'm not a writer. I can't do all that stuff.
Well, one, I got a number for you, right? That number is 0, as in there's no Deuce Vaughn anymore. He's gone. You got 2 guys there that I think are playing, DJ Giddens and Trayshawn Ward. What are you looking for from those 2 tailbacks to try to, if anything, fill the considerably large shoes, even though he's a short man, of Deuce Vaughn?
Yeah, and that's what everybody's been saying this offseason is, Deuce is gone. What are you guys going to do without him? And obviously, losing Deuce is huge. Deuce was my guy, man. We came in together, in 2020, and we kind of made it through the fire together. Obviously he had a little more success right away, but we were both out there as true freshmen and kind of made it to the other side together. So it was cool to see that, and seeing him be able to move on to the NFL is so cool, and I'm so happy for him. I think he's gonna have an immediate impact with the Cowboys. But the thing that I keep saying is that DJ and Trayshawn, those guys aren't Deuce Vaughn, and I don't want them to be Deuce Vaughn. There's no replacing Deuce. Deuce was Deuce, and he's going to do what Deuce does. But those guys are different players. They're their own player, and I think I'm really excited to see what they can do. I think Trayshawn has a lot of really good attributes. He's smart. He gets it. You can just tell he came in. He understands. He's been here. He's been at this level. He knows what to do, how things work, and obviously DJ too. I'm excited to see DJ because he had kind of a smaller role last year. I'm excited to see him step into an elevated role and see what he's able to do with that, because both of those guys, man, are strong but fast and shifty as all get out, man. I'm excited to see what they do, and they both are really good receivers. I think between those 2 running behind our 5 offensive linemen that we got returning, I think they can really make some noise in this conference.
I'm curious about you feeling the pressure, if you will, of being the guy. Like, Coach Klieman has made it very clear, it's your football team now, in a way that perhaps it wasn't when Adrian Martinez was starting the season. How have you accepted that role?
Yeah, it's huge for me because, going into the last 3 years, I played every single one of those years, but it wasn't my team. I came in as a backup. I was playing in an offense that wasn't tailored to my strengths, I feel like. And now that I can go into this year and say, this is my team, this is, I'm the guy, not only on the field, but leadership-wise, it's huge for me. And I feel like it's just a complete 180 in terms of my mindset. Obviously, when you're the backup, you sit there and you're saying, I'm going to prepare like I'm the starter, I'm going to lead like I'm the starter. But it's different when you really know that that's the case. So going into this year, I'm trying not to take it as pressure. I'm trying to take it as, kind of a privilege. This is a privilege. This is something that not a lot of people get the chance to do, and I'm just blessed to be able to, be a leader on this amazing football team that we're going to have, and I'm really looking forward to it because I think we're going to have an amazing year, and I think a lot of us leaders, we're excited to see where we go because I feel like we just scratched the surface of what we're capable of last year.
Will Howard, who is 6'5", 240, DB, should fear, and is a balanced breakfast over there at quarterback. Thank you so much for joining us here on the #1 College Football Show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you. Good talking to you.